This video has instructions for making an overhead water rocket launcher that shoots recycled plastic bottles.
3, 2, 1.
Everybody likes to get sprayed by the water rocket. This overhead design allows kids to gather safely underneath without danger of being hit by the rocket on the way up. You might have seen this water rocket launcher featured on the PBS TV program Ask This Old House. In February 2009, they had a special kids program using construction materials to make kids stuff.
3, 2, 1.
Here's a short overview of the components and construction so you can see what's involved before jumping in. The materials are inexpensive, available at a building center or hardware store with a good plumbing department. One part comes from an auto parts store or garage. Building the launcher uses common tools. The hardest to find tool might be the electric drill you'll need. The water rocket depends on the happy coincidence that a 2-liter carbonated soft drink bottle slides perfectly over common, cheap plastic pipe. Using a candle, you can soften the plastic pipe. Then by pushing inward, you can make a slight bulge in the softened pipe, which becomes permanent as the plastic cools. As you wedge it against the bump, the spout of the bottle seals on the pinch, even when there's lots of pressure in the bottle. I think this kind of seal is easier to make and more durable than using O-rings, which is another way water rockets are sealed to hold pressure. We can thank Australian water rocket experimenter Ian Clark for coming up with a simple and effective way to hold the bottle onto the bulge while it's being pressurized. He used ordinary wire bundling ties, sometimes called zip ties. The bottle has a little handle that we hold on to when carrying the bottle. The protruding side of the head of the zip ties can hook onto that handle. We actually use 8 ties taped together. A hose clamp attaches the plastic ties to the pipe and allows for adjustments. Of course, something has to keep the head of the ties holding onto the bottle until you're ready to launch. By another happy coincidence, another common, larger size of plastic pipe fits right over the plastic ties, making them grab the bottle handle. Just by sliding the pipe a little, you can hold the bottle on or let it go.
2, 1.
Here you can see someone pulling a string that pulls the big piece of pipe down, starting up here and ending up down here, releasing the pressurized bottle. For a long time, that was the extent of the trigger mechanism, but there was a problem. Sometimes the big pipe was a little too loose. It's not pressurized here, but even when it was, the bigger pipe could unexpectedly slide down like this, releasing the rocket before you were ready. At first, I dealt with the problem by padding the inside of the big pipe with tape so it would have a tighter fit, but it still relied on friction to keep it up. We can thank James Hardy, a British astronomer who also experiments with sending tiny video cameras up in water rockets, for a more reliable way to hold the trigger pipe up. Say you cut the bottom and the top off a 2-liter bottle. The open-ended cylinder would be springy. If you cut 2 small holes on opposite walls of the cylinder, you could mount this springy thing on the thin pipe, and it would have enough springiness to push the fat piece of pipe up against gravity. So no matter how loose the trigger pipe, the rocket would not launch unless someone pulled the string. Although the rocket will work without the springy cylinder, I think the added safety is well worth the little bit of extra work. The rest of the launcher is mostly plastic pipe and glued-on fittings. Don't be intimidated about gluing plastic pipe just because you haven't done it before. Mind you, it's messy and there are fumes, so do it outside, but it's easy to learn how to do. Starting on the bottom, a glued-on end cap holds in air pressure. A little farther up is where you attach the bicycle pump to pump pressurized air into the pipe, which in turn pressurizes the bottle at the top. You'll have to drill a hole in this end cap for the valve. Then you just pull it really hard through the hole, and it seals without any glue. About halfway up the launcher, there are two small fittings that allow you to unscrew and take the launcher apart into two shorter pieces. You don't have to use them, but they're very convenient for transport and storage of the tall launcher. Farther up is leftover pipe, which is taped to the other pipe to stiffen it. It also holds the springy thing up, and you already know about the trigger mechanism. The water rocket is fun, educational, and safe if you follow a few common sense rules, like never pointing it at someone. I see it as analogous to driving. I drive my children places several times a week. I know that a moment of careless driving could get somebody injured or killed. So I drive carefully.